The easiest way to do it is to locate the back wall and let everything kind of build up from that, so at least you have that in proportion onto that page. So when you're looking down on it from the top, oops, just going to kind of keep that in the midsection of it here. And with most of the drawing that you do, you want to try to keep things laid out in stages. So for example, this would be the vertical of the back of this room right here. So whichever angle I decide to cross for, there's triangles we can actually use, but we'll just start off with this. Keeping this parallel to this one. Okay, it kind of goes off in the distance there. And doing the same, this one. Keeping that parallel to it. And if it goes past it, it's not going to hurt it. In fact, that it might help you see the spatial relationship of all the drawing as you go. So that's the back of the room. Kind of tighten it up just a little bit. And what you want to do is then look at different shapes that are there and let them start from the ground plane up. For example, there's this couch. As long as it's parallel to this section, it makes it much easier. It's tempting to try to arch it in to make it look like a vanishing point, but it's not too hard. And then just have it go right up the wall. Since it's up against the wall, you can kind of build that up. This is going to be equal measurement. So this height is the same as this height, and this one's going this way. So that's kind of building the couch as it goes all up against the wall. Then just like it is in this three-dimensional section here, showing this little sketch behind here, where you have this option. Just try to show this to you a little bit. Go back to an isometric section here. And that way you can kind of see the how it's built up. So all these lines, just like if this was the room, kind of build that up, and the same as if this was the side of the couch. Here's the shape of it as a rectangle, right here. And then all you're doing is kind of finding the part that's taken away from it, and just illustrate that right there. Okay. And the nice thing about the isometric, it's usually used for manufacturing, that whoever's building this part can look at this and say, well, it's equal measure. They're not worried about the illusion of that perspective gives. So these lines just go back. You can sketch them out. When it finds the center where this intersects, that's going to be the center line. And where this intersects here, so you can start to build the couch all the way around that piece. So it's very easily placed into there. And you can see the top of it, and the top of it's going to have the same angle. And then once you get it in there, you can heavy this part up. And here's the center part. So I'll keep it kind of light at first, and then I'll go back and start shading it. Anything that's on the wall is pretty easy because it's just the same, it's on the same plane as this, and everything's parallel to it. And like I said, there's ways to measure these items, which we'll talk to and address in a moment. And here's just the doorway, and it has like a little bit of carpeting that's offset. So just kind of freehanding this in. And if it goes over the line, it doesn't matter. It kind of adds to the ambiance of the room, the feel of it being reflected, because every surface does reflect and absorb the other image. Okay, so just kind of laying it out. And it looks like it has this carpet goes on the inside of it. Whoa. Now same on this. If these shapes of the paintings are the same height, you can extend it to the center line, and as long as it comes out parallel to this one, you have the same height line of this, and wherever this ends off is going to be here. Okay, and then just extending a piece here, and they have the little lamp. So it's just kind of a equal measurement on this. When you take a look at the tricky part is going to be this chair that is not perpendicular to the rest of the room, and that's where the multiple vanishing points come from. So in this case, I'm just going to use the rectangle for the top of the table to start it. Give it a little thickness, maybe add some decoration to it. And since it's all parallel, it makes it much easier. And just drop it straight down. As soon as you find how long one's going to be, you just wrap it around, and it makes the other one just as tall. Okay? And you can see that they have this carpet. Now, depending on how low or how high you placed your illustration to start with, it's just going to show for you. Okay? So there's the interior of it. And the last part I have to put in is just this table and the lamp. Now, this one I'll explain a little bit of that elliptical shape that's coming up. I'm going to extend this table a little bit. Do the same with this one. Find the edge to it, maybe give a thickness to it. Drop it down just a little bit. And then find the legs for it. And if they're ever at a slant, just draw them straight first, and then go ahead and put the slant in, so at least you get the position right. And they're all parallel this way. Okay. So now if I can explain a little bit of the lampshade, for example. When you find the part of it, just kind of create a square for the lamp itself and go parallel on either side. It's going to be covered up by this part of the lampshade. So do again, find a square to it. Try to make it parallel to the rest of it. And if you can find the center by just crossing the diagonals, that gives you the center line that goes up. And if you can find the center of each four sides, it'll help you start to place in that elliptical shape. All you need to do then is take the tangent from it and go right up from the side and repeat it right at the top. And if you can see the mechanics of it, then the freehand sketch of it makes it much easier to try to get the major and minor axis of the ellipses that you see. And there you have your basis, the beginning part of that room. Keep in mind, you can take the straight edge if you want. That makes it pretty easy. Just move it slightly to get thicknesses of the line. And just drop it on down as you go. Helps you get the board, and you can shade with it as well just by pushing it across. Rotate your paper when necessary. And you can clean up any lines if you do it freehand from the beginning. Get your setup there. And any details that you want to put in that aren't there, feel free. Add a little bit of the molding, baseboard. Kind of placing that in here and here. But again, as an industrial designer, interior designer, all this stuff is going to come into play there. And the only thing I have to put on is the couch, so I'm going to put that in last, because that's at a different set of drawing points. Like I said, as you start drawing it, you can use the ruler. Here I'm making like a straight line, just pushing the ruler, barely holding it with my left hand, letting the other part shaded in there. So it's a nice little trick and help in your drawing. Sketch it out. And you can do it this way too. I'm just holding the straight edge there and butting up against the shading, using the lines going vertical. That's a nice way to do it too. So it's just using it as like a racing shield, only for drawing. Something like the lampshade, it's probably the only organic piece in here. You can shade that with the base tone and the highlight, unless you have it lit. Then you can put a shadow to it. So get a little practice with your shading.